In Quebec City alone, police have already handed out 41 tickets since Christmas Eve. Officers busted a crowd at this church, a get-together at Boston Pizza, plus a couple of house parties.
It's as if we're in the middle of a huge raging forest fire right now. And people who are working in hospitals and clinics, our frontline healthcare workers, we're doing everything we can to put out that fire.
Dr. Matthew Otten says if those gatherings lead to outbreaks, that's more pressure on an already struggling system.
You see other people who are very much not paying attention to those rules, and it's as if they're lighting fires on their property, and it's just exacerbating the whole problem.
Even here at the airport, people traveling internationally told me they wouldn't take the risk of crowding into a house to party with friends or family. Yes, they say they're getting onto an airplane, but they say they're taking lots of precautions to mitigate that risk.
I have some friends that are going to they rented cottages and they're going to have a big party on New Year's, and to me that's the worst thing you can do right now.
Instead, she's traveling to the States to see her fiancé and assumes she'll be safe.
He actually got COVID a couple of weeks ago, so he's immune right now.
The Government of Canada has discouraged non-essential travel since March, but still, this student says she's traveled throughout the pandemic and maintains she does it safely.
I'm going to Arizona. I'm going to spend 9 days in the desert, rented a big SUV, and I'm just going to drive around and see what I can find.
Health experts say anyone traveling needs to be extra cautious.
The virus doesn't count, and the virus doesn't know if you are in Cuba or Quebec. It's going to do exactly the same thing.
Some say Quebec's tough tactics are the wrong approach.
I actually think the fines probably don't help hugely in this whole process, and maybe even to some extent might actually be an irritant.
Okay, so Jayla, if the fines maybe don't help, according to the experts you've spoken to, what is the right approach in terms of persuading people just to follow these rules and stay home?
That professor you just heard from there at the end of my story, he's been studying that exact question with a team of experts internationally around the world, and they've been asking that exact question. And what he told me is that the best way to bring the public on board with these public health rules is to explain the context to them, to explain to them why these rules are important. So he said basically, instead of governments saying to people, do this because I told you so or else, the best strategy is to say, here's why we need to do this. Here's why we need to use this strategy, and here's how it'll help us get out of this pandemic. And he said the public really is smarter than governments give them credit for.
Yeah, it's always about communication. Jayla, thank you very much. Jayla Bernstein tonight in Montreal.